It turns out Hasan Minhaj has fabricated some of the stories in his comedy specials. Let's talk about it. The New Yorker released an article about Hasan Minhaj and some of the stories that he's been fabricating in his comedy specials. And people are upset. For example, one of the stories is about how an FBI informant infiltrated his family mosque when he was a kid. It turns out that never happened, but the president of his family mosque did come out and say that there was an instance when Hasan was a kid where a sketchy looking guy came into the mosque. Everyone got nervous. They called Muslim American Relations, who ended up calling the FBI. As a kid, I can see how that would freak you out. It's also now being said that Hasan got the inspiration for that story when he was playing basketball with his friends as a kid, and they'd play a game with each other saying, how many of these white guys do you think is police? So just in that story, even though it was just a game, you can see that even though they were kids, they were living with real fear. Another story that he told on stage that turns out was not true was when he said he got a threatening letter in the mail. There was white powder inside, it fell on his daughter, they got scared it was anthrax, and she was then rushed to the hospital. It turns out he did get a threatening letter, there was white powder in it, but it never fell on his daughter and she was never hospitalized. But one of his first thoughts to his wife was, oh my gosh, what if this was anthrax? Again, showcasing the fear that he felt in that moment. When speaking on these fabrications, Hasan Minhaj has said that he was speaking his emotional truth while using tools of stand-up comedy such as hyperbole, changing names and locations, and compressing timelines to tell entertaining stories. So why are people upset? There are actually two popular opinions about the situation on opposing sides. First of all, a lot of people from the community are saying that where they once felt seen and represented by Hasan, they now feel misled. They trusted him and he let them down, leading to a lot of disappointment amongst his fans. A lot of people are also saying that he's done a disservice to people of color, and that now when people come forward about race and discrimination, they won't be believed and people will think that they're exaggerating. An additional opinion is that instead of saying that this is what he went through, he should have respected those who actually went through these experiences and said that this happened to other people. Those are just some of the points on that side of the argument. On the other side, people are saying that he's a performer, he's a comedian, he's an entertainer, he's not a politician running for office, he is not on the news saying these things. It is a show and therefore there's not an issue. Another point from this side is asking whether or not he would have been given the same opportunities as a brown Muslim kid talking about others going through Islamophobia instead of saying that he himself went through it. The argument being that he would not have gotten as far as he has. The Hollywood Reporter also quoted Hasan Minhaj saying that you wouldn't go into a haunted house and say, why are these people lying to me? The point is the ride, and stand-up is the same. So was Hasan Minhaj wrong in fabricating some of the stories on his show? Is he morally wrong? It's obviously a gray area, which is why there's so much argument about it. Everyone has a right to their own opinion, so let me tell you mine as a Desi American who grew up in the US and has dealt with discrimination. I'm not upset. I agree that he's an entertainer, a performer, a comedian, and he's allowed to take certain creative liberties when putting on a show. I do believe his argument that he was sharing his emotional truth, but he had to fabricate some of the stories and the premises to get us to feel what he felt or what other people in the community feel. The way I look at it is he was giving a voice to the people who don't have one. He made a platform for himself and he's telling stories that others aren't able to tell for themselves. Not everybody has the voice or the platform to speak up, so I think he was actually helping the community by doing so. And he takes you through an emotional roller coaster ride during his show, which I would like to think has opened the eyes of quite a few people. I also don't think it would have been as impactful by saying that this happened to somebody else. It was definitely more impactful as an audience member when he tells you this happened to himself. If he had lied while trying to run for political office, or if he had lied on the news, this would be such a different story. I would be angry. But he didn't. He did it during a stand-up comedy show. This is definitely a morally gray area, so I understand why there's so much discussion over it. Like I said, everyone has the right to their own opinion. I'd love to hear yours, but remember to please comment with kindness.